Typically, someone said, hey, I want to do a strategic planning session. Please come and moderate the session for me. I said, we don't do that. And they said, why not? We've been doing strategic planning for all the time. And it was like, that's a big mistake. We hate the term strategic planning. We like to divide it in strategic thinking and execution planning. And let me get deep in explaining why. Whenever you do strategic planning, the typical way people do it, you come to the room, you have an idea, and then you start drilling down in that idea to execute it. And that's a big mistake because you have an idea and then you drill it down, you have another idea, you drill it down, you have another idea, you drill it down. And when you finish, you have this monster with 5 heads and everyone's going through a different direction. That's a huge problem because now you have ideas that you have buy-in, you have a plan, but then you don't have a way to execute them correctly because they're all competing against each other. In strategic thinking, so usually we do a 2-day session. The first day we do strategic thinking. It's all about deciding what do we need to do to be successful. And it's all about thinking. It's all about seeing data. It's all about seeing, okay, where's our long-term plan? What do we need to do this quarter or this year to get close to that? And just care about the what, not the how. And when people are starting to say, we don't have the money, we don't have the people, I was like, I don't care. I care about that tomorrow. Today, I want to make sure that we have clarity on what do we need to do to be successful. That's it. And then the next day, we say, okay, yesterday we decided these are the 5 priorities of the year or the quarter. Now let's discuss how to do them. And sometimes we come back to day 1 to adjust some of the priorities. As an example, the other day I was with a meeting and the team said, we're going to do $10 million more of revenue in this program. And when we were doing the how, we realized we need to have 10 more sales agents, and it was going to take us a quarter to hire them and train them. So it was impossible to get to those 10 million. And we came and adjusted. But at the beginning, I just want to make sure in the strategic thinking that we know exactly what do we need to do to be successful. And then the next day, we discuss the how. And that's when we get into the detail. Strategic planning, they try to do the what and the how at the same time. And that's a big problem because when you're thinking about the how, you're so worried about the how that you start changing the what, and then you modify the what and you miss what is really important. So let me tell you a quick story. The other day, I got hired by 2 brothers. They used to own this company in Mexico City. So I have a call with one of them and he said, hey, I want to go to the East and my brother wants to go to the West. We want to hire you to tell us who's wrong. And I was like, that's a little bit aggressive, but fine, let's go to a meeting. So we sat down in the room. So I'm going to do an analogy, of course, to do this, but we're in Mexico City and they said, hey, I want to go to the East and my brother wants to go to the West. Help us understand who's wrong. And I was like, what is the objective? The objective is to go to the beach for a week. If you're in Mexico City and you go to the East, you're going to hit Veracruz. Most likely you're going to go to the beach. If you're in Mexico City and you go to the West, you're going to hit Acapulco. You're going to get to the beach. Both of you are right. No. One has to be wrong. And I was like, if your plan is just to go to the beach, you will hit the beach on both sides. Usually, the strategy in the companies is we need to grow. We need to make more money. You could make more money going 10 or 20 different directions. Drilling your strategy down is getting clarity of what you want to do. Hey, I want to go to the beach in Cancun, stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I want to go for a week. I want to go in a plane. That's the right decisions you have to get right. So whenever you do strategic thinking, you're able to have your mind open and clean to be able to get to drill down to that. So when we help a company get their strategy right, we ask, why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? Going to the East is not enough, or telling me you want to go to the beach is not enough. I want to tell me what beach you want to go, what hotel, what kind of experience, what price are you expecting to pay? Until we don't get to all of that, you have not completed your strategy. There's a term that Jim Collins coined called the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. And here's the rule of the BHAG. It has to be at least 10 years, maximum 25. And imagine you are in a boat and you said, hey, I want to go from this place to this place. I don't have a compass. I don't have a technology or a GPS to tell me where. I need to choose a North Star. So I know where I want to go. So you could see the star. It's a little bit blur. Sometimes you have some clouds. Sometimes it's raining. But whenever you could see the sky, you could always see the North Star and realign. That's the BHAG. You want to have a North Star that if you start executing and then you get a storm or something happens and then you get distracted, you could always turn up and say, hey, that's the North Star, and it will realign you. So it's not something I want you to tell me exactly how it looks, because it's impossible. I know that it's impossible for you to tell me exactly how it's going to look in the next 25 years. But I want you to give me a very clear guide of where you want to go, so you always have that North Star and realign. Whenever we help a company building a strategy, the first thing we want to decide is, where do you want to go? And if you remember Alice in Wonderland, she gets into Wonderland and sees the rabbit and asks the rabbit, hey, I'm going on the right direction. And the rabbit asks, where do you want to go? And Alice said, I have no idea. Said, okay, if you have no idea where you want to go, just continue walking. You're still going to get there, right? Same thing happens with companies. You need to have a very clear BHAG and where you want to go, so you could have clarity on your strategy and always be able to realign where you are. So we always start having a long-term 10 to 25 years. And one last thing, why at least 10 years? Because you want to remove all the naysayers. If I tell you, hey, I'm going to do $20 million next 3 years, you could get an Excel and run some numbers and said, it's very difficult, you're going to get to that. If I tell you I'm going to get to 100 million in 10 years, no one's going to bet against you, because it's very difficult. They don't know what's going to happen with technology. They don't know a lot of things. So most likely they say, in case you get there, I'll bet with you.